169th session as resource person. So we'll be talking about problem formulation and review of literature. Even when we talk about student projects also, or research at general, there are a lot of misconceptions happening. And I'm not saying that I am the final word. I'm never the final word. I'm a beginner level learner. But the problem, the good part with me is that I do listen to a lot of experts, not only from the country but also outside. And I did make use of this COVID time to learn a lot from such experts. Even before I do attend long-term programs, I don't attend programs for certificate purpose. I do it for learning purpose mostly. So even if I miss a particular session, I don't ask for the feedback link. But I'm not criticizing people. But there are a lot of people who are actually interested in the certificate part of it. This is not my word. Professor Dr. Justin Paul, who is a professor of USA, of course, a Malayali from Thrissur. It is his words. So we people want learners. I am a learner, and I also want people to learn more than being certified. So the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So let us develop the habit of learning, unlearning, and relearning. When we talk about research, the level of compartmentalization or the level of closed thinking is too high. Some people say that the method that they know or they experience is the only one existing in the whole world, and they propagate that, which is absolutely bad. We should know, we should explore the frontiers available. We should understand that there are a lot to be learned. And only when we continuously learn such things, we are also eligible to be called as teachers. So the structure of the presentation would be like this. We'll be introducing the process of research, the type of data used in quantitative research, and I will be touching upon systematic review of literature. I will also be talking about citation styles and the protection from plagiarism, and some recent topics, of course, some important source of secondary information. And I will be trying to talk more and more so that I can benefit. All men by nature desire to know. Aristotle is, to quote from Kotler, Philip Kotler, according to his lecture, Aristotle is regarded as the father of marketing. Again, I'm not saying that, Kotler is saying that. Why? Because Aristotle knew to market himself and his ideas. Even though there were greater philosophers before him, those were not as famous as Aristotle. So the way you present your ideas, the way you communicate your ideas, the way you market your ideas, so these are all important. And we also know have these some reasons for our actions. What are the causes of our actions? Sometimes it is by chance, by nature, by compulsion, by habit, by reason, by passion, and by desire. It is my passion and desire to disseminate information. Because as a learner, as a researcher, I was begging for information. Still, there were situations when I was denied access to information. I should say that. Not from my guide. I had the most beautiful guide one could ever get. Dr. M.C. Dilip Kumar, former Vice Chancellor of Sri Shankaracharya University. My guide was a blessing for me. My mentors were a blessing for me. But still, of course, they have limitations. So when we need research-related information, research-related some insights, we approach some people, some institutions. Unfortunately, denial was faced. So it is my passion and desire to see that whatever I know should be available at free of cost to maximum possible people. So that is the real reason behind these kind of knowledge sharing exercises, and not because I'm that what you call great to talk on the topic. But when you talk about research, do we really do it out of our passion and desire or out of compulsion? Most often the answer is, the genuine, honest answer is compulsion. Because you do not get an associate professorship without a PhD as per seventh plan. You will not get appointment again in as per the eighth plan, the next process. So you are compelled to do it. Again, PhD is not only research. You are publishing things, you are writing things, you are talking things. What happens there? When these are part of API norms, we do it. So the drive for doing it out of your genuine passion and desire is very less. In 2011, when I joined the service, I was part of Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham deemed university till 2011 January. Later I joined government service on the next day actually. Then what happens, out of my 15 years, a very limited year, 15 and a half years of teaching experience, I could see is that the only when it is compulsion, people are more doing it. And the problem is that. So please make it a passion and desire to do research works. Small works. Again, I'm not talking about the big ones. I'm not talking about the ABDC list of obligations. I'm not talking about Scopus. Start small and develop. That is easy for us. So research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. One of the most beautiful definitions one could ever have on research. Again, I do attribute this definition to Professor Sebastian Rupert Mamberly, sir of Kochi University of Science and Technology, of whom I do attend a lot of workshops, physical workshops, not online. Even though the webinar itself was familiar to me from 2016, I have attended some international webinars from that time, but now it is very common. So you should take the advantage of the situation. And that is what happened in April, where Alberts College hosted a webinar by Dr. Rajagopalan Nair, and I got 2 phone calls. One from my student who was teaching at St. Teresa's College, Ernakulam, and one from my friend who was teaching at Al-Amin College at Atala. Both were asking me to host events, because why don't you can do this thing? You can arrange talks. So we started doing things. So the opportunity was created and everybody accepted. So you just try to think of the possibilities. Don't think of the impossibilities. Think of the possibilities and try to do maximum. We normally get up with some rational way of thinking in research. You are not supposed to have biases. You can do research on bias, but you are not supposed to be biased. Second is the level of expert and exhaustive treatment. My daughter doing 5th standard in a CBSE school, she had an assignment recently to study about the ice cream brands sold in the locality and the flavors and prices. The same thing is done at the UG level, PG level, MPhil level, even PhD level. We know the most famous title, customer preference to and behavior towards ice creams or such and such brands. So what makes the difference? The exhaustive treatment and the expertise makes the difference. It is not the topic. Sometimes topics are like that. I will show you some journals, some prestigious journals, where you will find the topics as very, and in Malayalam we say, we don't feel this actually some big things. But still, the way in which it is presented makes sense. So expert treatment is important. We are supposed to find a search for problem as well as solution. We are searching for problems. We are searching for topics sometimes. Sometimes we are searching for the solution to the problems. We know topic about like basic research as well as applied research. Exactness calls for scope of the study. We are expected to be within the scope. Define your scope, the geography, the way, the extent of coverage, the time period, everything has to be defined. Otherwise, you will not end your work. It will just go on. Then the analysis. Of course, we know the different levels of analysis. In descriptive statistics itself, we know there is first degree, second degree, third degree, and fourth degree. General tendency, dispersion, skewness, kurtosis. Then we have inferential statistics. Then we have predictive analytics. Then we have prescriptive analytics. So we are going away and away. Should also understand where we stand, where we have reached. Have we reached up to at least up to inferential properly without outsourcing? Then the relationship of facts. Normally, the research is always about a conceptual model. We are expected to properly draw a conceptual model and establish the relationships. Sometimes we test the hypothesis also. And we should also critically observe, carefully plan with a constructive attitude and a condensed generalization, which means within the limitations. Research always have some sort of limitations. And we are to make our generalizations based on the limitations, within the limitations. And the last part is honesty, the most important part in research as well as life. Last day, we in WhatsApp, people were really sharing about the availability of PhD thesis for sale in front of universities, including JNU. So in the teachers group, I just made a comment. Outsourcing of the work has been there from the beginning. It may be 0 to 100. The point of outsourcing or the level of outsourcing is what you decide based on your level of honesty and integrity. I know people who have not written even a single sentence by their own in their thesis. Unfortunate situation. So that is where we call about honesty. Again, today I was talking to our office in charge regarding when I was actually using a Turnitin plagiarism checking software. So I was explaining him what is the software. So what happens with this plagiarism is also a person from library science did a PhD, and he could find that the theses submitted in Indian universities are plagiarized, highly plagiarized. Taking the alarm or the dreadful alarm from that thesis, UGC had issued our plagiarism policy. It should be less than 10%. In Urkhund, of course, it is very difficult in Turnitin to reach that point because it's a very tough software, even though we can manipulate the procedure. Urkhund is a weaker software. Suppose you manage to get a less than 25% in Turnitin, it will be less than 5% in Urkhund normally. Less than 10% in Urkhund. So that is how we normally set a way of doing things. And why it is so? It is a part of the honesty. Again, still there are Indian universities accepting theses up to 25% similarity index. I know universities. So, honesty is something different. Research has to happen. It starts from the theory and ends with an addition to the existing theory. We read a lot of theory to frame our own hypothesis regarding the problem or to find out a problem. And we frame some hypothesis. Hypothesis means inferior to thesis. Thesis is an accepted fact. So you make some hypothesis or tentative assumptions. Based on that, you identify your variables to be collected. For example, if you want to see that the celebrity endorsement leads to purchase intention, so you have two variables, celebrity endorsement and the other one is purchase intention. Based on that, you collect data, you organize the data, analyze the data, interpret the data, make some conclusions. Normally, our postgraduate level works ends up with conclusions, but superior level works go further to newer findings, generalizations, and when you get into predictive analytics, you can test your applications and validate your findings. Then it is given for peer review. Again, the next phase. In Malayalam, I am just putting it in Malayalam for the local people. കഴുത്തിന് മീതെ വെള്ളം വന്നാൽ അതിന് മീതെ തോണി. When the water is up to the neck level, you make a boat to escape it. Same way, when publication was made compulsory in the 6th plan, everybody started journals. Almost every local college have a journal. Some journals have good review policy and some journals have poor review policy. And what happens is you get anything published. So the peer review is not a joke. Last year, I got from a journal, I got 4 papers for review. It was not a blind review. It was with actually they gave me with the author detail, which is not good. It should be blind. But unfortunately, they give me with the author details. But I didn't really look into the content, the author detail. I just went into first my plagiarism check was done, and then I started reading the articles. But I had to reject 2 out of them. Both of them was by my former students. So, unfortunately, peer review is not really happening at some journals. But there are journals which accept your paper in 24 hours and publish it in 24 hours. The speed itself tells that it is a predatory journal. Sometimes even such a journal might not exist also. Clone journal we call it, and fake journal we call it. So the peer review process is very important. And the highest form of strictness is Einstein's thesis were rejected by some reviewers at that time. So that such reviewers are also there. There can be issues. So anyway, at the moderate level, peer review is always good. It is well when it is blind review. Double blind review is better. That is, the author is not knowing the reviewer and the reviewer is not knowing the author. That is double blind peer review. That's great. And based on that, once it is accepted, it is published and it becomes addition to the theory. So this is what we normally do in research. How can you do a good research? Be systematic in approach. Have no bias. Keep objectivity in action. Your procedures, including data collection in literature also, should be reproducible. That is where I stress my sessions on reviewing literature the best way. It should be reproducible. Then the relevancy of findings and conclusions. Sometimes people end up writing as male was 40%, female was 60%. That is a profile of your sample. You are not supposed to put it in the findings chapter. You can put it, but it is not your finding. It is a profile of the sample. So make relevant statements. Then control should be over there, the time, finance, etc. Without control, your research again will not properly end. Of course, the research runs into 2 major types, quantitative research and qualitative research. These are the type of data used in quantitative research: cross-sectional data, time series data, panel data. Cross-sectional data is we very much familiar with. The data collected across different gender, age, occupation through surveys or questionnaires or interviews. We know that method. Again, the problem with these type of data as our type of research is that a lot of people insist that only research using a cross-sectional design or a primary data design is real research. A lot of people have such a misconception. Again, the problem is that they have limited reading in the international level or the other level. I had to argue with many people, and when I argue with evidence. So I had to win over many persons, many seniors, unfortunately. So the problem is that please understand, it is not the only research. When you read good quality review papers, that is qualitative research. When you read good quality case studies, it is something different. So research has different methods. You cannot say that only one method is correct and only one method exists. It would be wrong. And you should also understand that the world is now going towards a mixed method research also. And keep it aside, we have a beautiful stream of knowledge called as econometric forecasting and model building, which depends on time series data and panel data. Again, suppose you collect 10 years sales and profits of Reliance Limited, it becomes time series data. When you collect 10 years sales and profits of 10 companies, it becomes a panel data, for example. That is the combination of the features of time series and cross-sectional makes a panel data. And you can do analysis on different data based on different protocols. Different data requires different protocols. And in this FDP, we'll be talking about the basic cross-sectional data, how to frame a questionnaire, how to collect the data and analyze such collected data using open software. That will be done in the later sessions. The funneling approach is always important. Yesterday also Pradeep sir also was talking about the funneling approach. That was regarding sample selection. Here I am talking about the same approaches, same. It is talking about topic selection. You have to find your broad area of interest. And the broad area of interest should be in line with your expertise also. For example, mostly what happens is people with post-graduation in finance rarely take PhD in finance. Why? Because the other one, the HR, is easy to collect the data. The basic reason to get away from finance. And in finance, when you get into the true finance research, there we need to learn a more kind of methodologies, more kind of approaches, and the learning part is more. And that is why I am now insisting my scholars to pursue their research in finance. I'm also learning with them so that I can also pursue more. Search and choose a relevant sub area. Suppose you are doing in finance, you can choose a sub area as mutual funds, or you can choose a sub area like behavioral finance. Actually, my people are doing one fellow is doing in behavioral finance, and the other is doing in some other area, socially responsible investing. Then we come down again. You can come down to a relevant topic. There are emerging trends, and how can you find that? You can just refer the most trending journals in that particular area, and then define your scope. Suppose you are going to study about mutual funds, you define your scope as equity oriented mutual fund, because that itself is more than 400. Why I am telling about the number is that I have done this project for my UG PG students. I have done with them. So define the scope. It is actually too large if you are going for a detailed analysis. So you can define your scope in equity oriented or debt oriented or like different focus. The other one in behavioral finance, again, you can get down into what is your specific area of decision, investment decision. Are you taking about general decisions? Are you talking about insurance? My research scholar is actually working on insurance decisions. Then check for feasibility. You're always instructed to check whether this thing will work out or not. Is it actually feasible? The data collection, the methods, anything and everything. So that's how we can funnel down to your topic. Where can I look for topics? Yes, I'm interested in looking for topics, but where can I look for? First and always the first answer to any question in research is reviewing literature. So let us just look into some a journal from Cochin itself, but in published by Emerald. Rajagiri Management Journal. So if you know the names of good journals, you can just get into that journal and get into their contents and read papers. That's it. One method. These are open access articles, so you can read it. Now you are just checking the articles. The banking system in Nigeria. So we feel that, oh, this is almost very similar to what you have learned. Emotional brand attachment and brand love. Like that, you get similar topics, but the approach will be contemporarily different. You can learn the different approach. One thing. And the other one, DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals, where you can find open access journals. Suppose I want to talk about behavioral finance. I want journals in behavioral finance. DOAJ will be giving me one indexed journal, International Journal of Banking and Finance. That is only available in there. So you can just get into that journal and read. But when you search for articles, it will be more. This was search for journals. And suppose I search for articles in the same area. Behavioral finance or behavioral bias, whatever. I just search for behavioral finance. I get 266 indexed articles. Many are very recent also. And behavioral aspect of financial literacy is a very good topic. So you can just click on read online. And the full text article will be available for free. Let me tell you, this is free. You can download the PDF. This is open access. You can download the PDF. Okay, this is how you can just get into that. MDPI is one of those premium journals, publishers. So this is a recent article on behavioral aspect of financial literacy. Like that, you can just get into that. Then you can also get into T&F Online, Taylor and Francis Online. And you can search for articles. Of course, there will be articles, and the problem is that most of them are paid. Most of the articles are paid articles. So after first search, you can click here, only show content I have full access to. So from 3,63,000, it reduced to 26,000 because the other one are not free. So of course, if you are not having a paid access, you can use the free access. You can read the full items. You can read. So this is how we make use of existing literature. One of few sources I just told you, and others I will also again tell you. So we also look for academic and industrial experience and exposure. Consultation with experts will always done, provided they have expertise. Company employees and competitors will do a lot help. Yesterday also, Pradeep sir was telling that. Then cultural changes and technological changes act as a source of research problem. Because nowadays people talk about online learning, online teaching, OTT platform of marketing, online marketing, etc. These things are more and more talked now. Why? Because the technology adoption was very fast than before. So the TAM model, the UTOT model, everything acts here. Seminars, symposium, and focus groups. Again, most people, I have seen a lot of people attend some physical events. They come in the morning, They attend half day and they approach the coordinator for the certificate so that they can leave early. They have, as I said, they attend it for the certificate purpose, not for the learning part of it. I hope the participants are not like that. So you will be learning a lot by attending the paper presentation sessions, where something new might be there. You cannot ensure 100% would be new, but at least one topic would be new to you. So I honestly recollect my experience of presenting a paper at a international conference at Ottapalam. When I was presenting the paper, normally for paper presentation sessions, some faculties just go to the back row and relax there. And sometimes the faculties feels very safe there in the back. I don't know why. And they ask their students to come in the front. But what happens with the when I started my presentation and I just put on my title on the screen, these people just walked over and they came to the front row and sit there and openly said that, sir, this I'm hearing this for the first time and I want to listen to more. And I was just a paper presenter, even though it was my student paper, not the faculty paper. It's actually our PG project. So what happens with such presentation is that you will get some new ideas, and there is actually two way. I'm happy that somebody is ready to listen to me. That is my pleasure, and he is happy that he is getting something new. So seminars, symposiums are always an active part of academic life. It is not about just getting certificates. Then brainstorming. In Malayalam, we say "Kuttirunnu aalokikka." Just sit and think. That's the way you will find some topics, and sometimes your intuition will also work. Of course, there are a lot of ethical aspects of research. I just talk about seeking consent. You should be asking the person's permission before asking him questions. You should maintain confidentiality, and you should avoid your bias in all the process. And you should not make any inappropriate use of information or methodology. And how can you finalize your topic? You should think about your own interest. As I said, if you are not at all interested in finance, you can choose something else. But your competence is important. My student who did MCOM finance cleared JRF and approached my my senior Santosh sir of Kochi University professor, and she wanted to do in HR as usual for ease of doing things. But Santosh sir said, your PG is in finance and you should do it in finance. Because your expertise, the competence is not built by just one paper of learning. Your specialization matters, especially at a university level. The specializations matter. At a college level, we don't look for specializations, especially in a government college like my kind of system. I don't have a permanent paper because when I switch the college, my paper may also be different, and I don't insist on my papers. So the researcher's competence is very important. Second, the third one is the researcher resources, the time, finance, etc. Then the external considerations are also there regarding the data availability, the reachability of respondents, etc. And once it is done, it is our job to set our objectives, which should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based, without which you are not supposed to progress. And the objectives shall be leading to the hypothesis. When it is plural, it is SES. And then we go to the analysis, suitable analysis. Let's talk about systematic literature review. In systematic literature review, what happens is you have an explicit research question with you. What are you going to do? You know that. Second, you are searching for relevant research studies. And third, you have some specified criteria, means inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. That is why seeing the document, the title and the document, you can decide whether to include it or to exclude it from your review. And you should have it. Many people ask me, I do get some such questions from scholars after attending the FTPs. So what is the maximum number of reviews? That is a rare question. What is the maximum number? Normally people ask the minimum number. Last week we got, myself and my friend got the other question. what is the maximum number of review? I said there is no. I said there is no such a maximum number. The relevant case studies, that's a number, relevant studies, and it is up to us to fix the proper inclusion and exclusion criteria so that the number is precise. So, characteristics of a systematic review is that you have a specific reproducible methodology, explicit methodology, reproducible. So you should write everything. I searched in this database. I got this many results with this keyword. And I had included this and I have excluded this, like that. And this is the total structure of what happening in literature reviews. At the broadest level, we do some narrative reviews. Normally, that's what we do. We just read literature and then we write something. That is narrative review. But now we are getting more into scientific studies, and even social science people are doing systematic literature review. Systematic literature review is a must for science research. But now social science people are also getting into that, because when I was I learned about bibliographic and bibliometric tools, and I wanted information, but I was not having access because the libraries were not open. So I just contacted my friend at Namale University, and he gave me a contact to the librarian, and I asked him the file to send me a Scopus file, that is a Scopus search file. He sent me, but he just asked me, what are you commerce people doing in our area? But actually, this bibliometric analysis is library science. So what I said, sir, commerce is an accepting discipline. We don't reject anything. Unfortunately, some commerce teachers reject some things. I know some commerce teachers who say that behavioral finance is not commerce. So I don't know what they talk about consumer behavior, but they say that consumer behavior is marketing. So that is also not marketing if it is behavior. So both are psychology at the highest level. You check foreign edition books, both are the highest extremes of psychological learnings, and there is no something called as commerce when you go outside. So I said, sir, commerce discipline is an accepting discipline. We accept anything. We develop day by day. We accept and grow. And that is how the commerce discipline has grown to this far. It is not just sitting with accounting and others. We have more subjects, right? So we are accepting more and more. And I said that we need it. So I just used it, and I could learn it, how it is done. And I could share it to my fellow scholars also. So the rapid review is the next level. You get a good number of reviews, but you don't have sufficient time. So we go for a rapid review. When you have a broad topic, not a specific topic, or multiple questions, then you go for a scoping review. But when you have a specific topic, but you review papers, reviewing review papers, then we call it umbrella review. Or when you do yourself the review, we call it systematic review. That is SLR, systematic literature review. And systematic review, when you insist on the statistical procedures also. I mean, you find out some testing is done based on the data collected from secondary data of literature review, systematic review. Then we call it meta-analysis. So these are the levels with which you can learn. A lot of softwares are there. Comprehensive meta-analysis is software used in meta-analysis. Then systematic review, there is something called as CADIMA. So there are a lot to learn. Explore it. So these are the theory regarding literature review. So please learn. And it is different. The normal literature review is different from systematic review. In the normal review, we are just concerned about the introduction, methods, discussion, conclusion, reference list. But here in systematic review, we have a search strategy. We have an eligibility criteria. We have an assessment of the validity of the findings, and we present it with an interpretation. And then a reference list. References list is unavoidable. It will be there. So the basic principle is you take more time to review. And what happens with our normal PhD research at the part-time scholars, even my scholars are also wasted almost 2 years of time now. They have not yet even completed their review process. They are yet to identify the constraints. Because, of course, I am ready to discourse, but they should be ready to listen, right? So only when you're ready, of course, my one scholar has almost reaching submission. I'm talking about part timers. You are supposed to find some time. If you are not finding time, again you are getting it delayed, and there is a problem in getting delayed because your topic will be outdated. When you find the topic, you have taken a lot of pressure, because for my part timers, I have taken a lot of pressure because I found the topics which were not really there in the literature. So I found the exploratory areas, and now the problem is that it will be when these people when delay the submission. Uh, Problem is that we will not get that credit of the first authors. So it's a problem. So these issues are there. Do not waste any pinch of time. Make use of it. And when you collect data or literature, you formulate your clear research question, you identify your constructs of interest, your characteristics and study designs, you plan a search strategy. I will tell you what is search strategy, and you search in the computer database and otherwise. You make a list, you consult it, you make a forward search, you make a backward search, and you make a final list. This is how what we do. And we normally start with defining keywords for article selection. Then you limit the findings based on inclusion and exclusion criteria. Then do a descriptive and thematic analysis. The papers that I showed you in Rajagiri Management Journal and others, they follow a thematic presentation of literature. Thematic. And not just a chronological listing of X and Y told in 1951, Y and X told in 1952. That kind of thing is not there. Thematic presentation is the time. And now, if you want to review literature and want to find who is the most prominent author in a particular area, this is a method. You can download an application called as Publish or Perish. Publish or Perish in the application. It's a Windows-based application. You can download it, install it, and search in Google Scholar for free. PubMed is also free. Crossref is also free. And Google Scholar citation result is this. I searched for social entrepreneurship, and J. Mayer is the most relevant author. So you can find the Google Scholar rank is given. It can generate up to 1,000 articles, the list. So you can choose for yourself. And you can also choose the download it into an Excel file and sort it based on the year so that you can find the latest articles. So review some most relevant old articles and also review more recent articles. Review more of recent articles. That is what Justin Paul Sir always says. He's the editor of an A-star journal and many other journals. So that's what he always says. You should review recent articles. So, but also not forget the old ones, the best ones. If you want to know more about systematic review tools, just visit this website, systematicreviewtools.com. And where should you search? We should start our search in Web of Science and Scopus if you have access. Otherwise, we can use Elsevier, Wiley, Emerald, ProQuest, Sage, Springer, and Taylor Francis. Again, provided you have access. If you don't have access, use the open. They also have some free sources. Use that. Otherwise, visit university libraries. I approach Cochin University of Science and Technology for my data search purposes. Unfortunately, after COVID, I'm not able to visit the library. I wish the system approves and the outsiders are also able to use the library, because by paying a very nominal fee, we can use these consortiums. So it is very useful. So what are the search methods or search strategies? Number one is random search. You just search for that keyword, one word or two word. You just search and you identify the related words, and you will get so many articles. And after getting so many articles, you find a key article. Once the key article is available, you call it the cited reference search. From the key article, you can go backward, that is backward referencing, and you can also go forward, that is forward referencing. These two methods can be done. That is cited reference. I'm showing an example. Suppose you are researching on consumer ethnocentrism. Connected Papers is a website. This is a research aggregator. Connected Papers. In this, I just go with consumer ethnocentrism, of which this Shimp and Sharma is the most important paper. So just click on that. It will generate a diagram of connected papers. So it's easy for you to find the articles. And here are the details of articles. Here are the details. So you know which are all the papers interconnected. Okay. Then suppose you downloaded a paper, the behavioral aspect of this paper. I'm just opening it. I think I have already downloaded it, right? Yes, I had downloaded it. Yes, it is here. So once you have downloaded it, if we feel that if somebody would read it for us, and if you feel that somebody would read it for us, Scholarcy is a website for that. Scholarcy.com. It's an artificial intelligence enabled platform. I'm just trying Scholarcy. Upload paper. From the downloads, I just give this paper. Like the Yandiran robo in the movie, it is reading the paper. I'm just clicking on generating flashcard. Yes, the summary. We argue that to prevent the pain from any potential loss, they explore mitigating financial solutions that contribute their financial literacy, an affirmative finding relating to the earlier study by Ramian et al. That's all. AI says that this is the summary of the paper. And if you want more details, you can come down. So these are the key concepts discussed in this paper. Here is the abstract. Here is a comparative analysis. Wherever it is compared with some other articles, it will be mentioned. So like that, you get a lot of insights, summarized insights, if you don't have time to read the full article. Another method of doing things. Scholarly highlights is also there. It will be making suit of the highlight points of the paper. These are the highlights, like that. So this is what we normally do with these kind of things. So a lot of such AI-enabled platforms are there. You can look into that. So cited reference search. Then building block search. Building block search is what again happening with you consumer ethnocentrism in FMCG products in India. That's the building block. So it will narrow down the searches. That is how we do it. And when you do it for citations and all, the things are also different. And this is how you should make a table. In Excel, it is always better that you keep this kind of a table. Name of the author, year, method used in the paper, constructs used in the paper, findings. Citation can be managed with the citation management software, so it is not a big issue. We will also talk about software in the last class. Today, there won't be enough time to do that. So we'll talk about it in the last class. So these are the major tools of bibliometric analysis tools, out of which Publisher Perish is a very free article. I can use it. BiblioShine is also free, but it uses R platform. Then NVivo is not free, but you can download and use what you call learning version. And try to learn, explore. And that's why I just listed these things. And once you have got your research problem and research questions with you, that is a basic element for quantitative research as well as qualitative research. And we should talk about plagiarism. We are not supposed to steal off somebody else's idea as ours. As I told you earlier, it is never good to copy. Never ever good to copy. So when you take even ideas from others, cite them, properly endorse them. And when you write a review paper, just copy their paragraph and put it here and just put their citation. That is also not proper. You are to rephrase it. How can you rephrase it? You can use again. You can use another website for paraphrasing. That is quillbot.com. You can put a paragraph here. I'm interested to learn new things. That's what I just put it. Whatever sentence you put it here, and you can paraphrase it. I'm enthusiastic in learning new things. That is their new suggestion. You can also change the words by clicking it here. I'm passionate in learning, whatever. It will suggest you synonyms. So you can change the paragraph structure and so that you can save the similarity index. But the problem is that again, you should cite the source. Idea is not yours. You should cite the source. So why to avoid plagiarism is a basic ethical issue. It is always good to be ethical. Present your own idea. That's the best way to protect yourself from plagiarism. Cite your source. And if you are copying dicto, then put it in the quotation marks. Include quotations. Use a proper plagiarism checker so for your assurance and paraphrase. If there is unintentional plagiarism or unavoidable plagiarism, paraphrase and cite the source so that you are protected from plagiarism. The major citation styles are MLA, APA, Chicago, etc. And we follow APA normally, American Psychological Association. We will show you in the last class, I will show you how to use Zotero to put it in that way. And Mendeley, Zotero, etc. are the most famous reference management softwares. I mean, Zotero is always free. So then MS Word also has an inbuilt citation and referencing software. We have websites like citethis4me.com to serve you. I will explain the Cite This For Me as well as Zotero in the last class. And let us rush through some recent topics of interest. GST and such reforms, demonetization, etc. Now, the time series analysis is worth doing because now we have 4 years after that. But again, the pandemic issue is there. So the structural break can also be studied. The banking and consolidation effects worth of studying. Yesterday also, Pradeep sir was telling that circuit breakers and irrational market behavior. What is happening with Sensex? You are sure, right? Very few stocks are making the Sensex behave wild. So you can study that. Performance evaluation of mutual funds, evaluation of sectoral indices, crowdfunding is now a theoretical area. Again, thanks to Pradeep sir for letting me know about our crowdfunding, and I worked on that area from 2015. Actually, I met him in 2015, and he was the person who told me the theoretical development in crowdfunding, and I started reading that. And I could produce an MPhil out of it and 2 PG projects. Behavioral finance and biases are also most important. Each and every bias is a topic. Let it be mental accounting, let it be anchoring. Each and every bias can be researched. Nudge in marketing and finance can be researched. Corporate governance can be researched because it is now legal to follow corporate governance practices. Corporate social responsibility can be researched upon. Corporate disclosure levels can be researched upon. And last month, a few months before, with the Newman College had a national level paper presentation competition. And my student, of course, I did the paper, I helped them in the paper, but my students won the best paper award for this corporate disclosure. Then OTT in entertainment. Of course, the era is all online. Economy after COVID-19. Health insurance in pandemic. There was a Corona special policies were launched. Then when you talk about HR, the glass ceiling effect can be studied. Women on board can be studied. The counterproductive workforce can be studied. Talent management. This counterproductive workforce was an article which I read in Taylor and Francis. Talent management, emotional intelligence are good. Spiritual intelligence is also good. This quality of work life and work life balance is old but good for PG projects. Marketing 4.0, 5.0, nostalgia marketing. Marketing of nostalgia restaurant was an article which we wrote in a UGC Care journal, and we got a citation in Elsevier by a Chinese author because it was a niche area, very less area of literature available. So we do with that brand love, celebrity endorsements, product placements, pseudo marketing, pester power, which means the influence of. Is there any disturbance? Is there?
Participants, we request you to mute your audio.
I think the admin can also mute the audio, mute the such people. No problem. Admin can mute it. Hope it is done. Pester power is again regarding the influence of children on purchase decisions. കുട്ടികൾ വാശി പിടിച്ച് മേടിക്കുന്നു. So it's again a research, highly researched area. Consumer negligence is an important area. Again, we don't actually look for the. Do we really look into the expiry date of a Coca-Cola or a fruity when you buy it? Think yourself. That is consumer negligence. Business in the new normal, industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, internet of things, internet of behavior, blockchain and cryptocurrency, which is going wild. And recently I attended a international conference on happiness and economics of happiness and welfare, and these were the topics in which I presented papers. Actually I presented 22 papers with my students and some teacher friends. So emotional finance, financial well-being, anxiety, behavior, distress, sustainable development, intellectual property rights is also must area to make a try. Of course it is legal, but you can find our own area, because we find everything in commerce and management, right? It is possible. Responsible tourism, socially responsible investing, sharia investing, ESG investing, e-governance like Akshaya in Kerala, governance systems like municipal corporations, panchayats, etc. Infrastructure development projects are also there, which we can study the effectiveness. Cyber entrepreneurship happening like wild. Digital payments and technology adoption, online teaching and learning platforms, startups and ecosystems, BICS, business incubation centers and institutional innovation cells, national education policy and commercial management education, accreditation or ranking in commerce and management education, and legal framework in trade and commerce. These are all recent areas of interest which we can make a try. And these are the major sources of secondary information. Google Scholar, Shodhganga, I have told you many sites also. There are a lot of such open forums. And for statistics, you can get into money control, value research, SEBI, AMFI, NSE, BSE, RBI, Yahoo, Google. And these fellows give you data which you cannot complete in your lifetime. I will not complete reading these things in my lifetime, I'm sure. So such lot of data is available. We can do a lot of works, right? The only thing is your own interest, and that is how we find. I will tell you in the last day how can we work on that. So thank you very much for your listening, and I am open for your queries.
Thank you, sir, for the very interesting and engaging talk. So now it's time for questions. Participants can unmute your mic and ask your questions, or you can also post your questions in the chat box.
I think that's it.
Okay. If there are any questions, you can unmute and ask. There is a question in the chat box. How about some journals?
Yes, getting delisted from the rankings.
Yeah.
That's the most important aspect where we find what journals we find. I will talk about the same in the last day. Actually, I was planning it till the last day, and even then, now the problem is that if you are looking for good quality journals, in the last session by Harish sir last week, if you are looking for Scopus and such rated index journals, you should look for the Bailey's index, so which may list regarding the predatory, I mean probable predatory journals, which will be delisted. One thing. Second, as I said, the speed of acceptance in UGC care itself, the speed of acceptance itself is it is a problem. Arun sir, were you telling anything? So be very sure regarding the journal that you sell it, and that is how what I said. Even the paper which got an Elsevier citation is not now in the UGC care list. It is out of the list. Even our paper is also out of the list because, as I said, it was a very low level journal. Basically, we researchers should be patient enough also to wait for some what you call achievements in publication. The immediate publications is the issue with this problem. They get delisted.
If there are no more questions, we would love to hear feedback from any of the participants.
Good evening, all. My name is Radhika. I am a research scholar of MG University under the supervision of Dr. Rashmi R, SSC College. I have attended a number of webinar talks by Vinay sir, and his talks are really informative and simple also. And as usual, today's session was also informative, and we could learn many new facts from your talk, sir. And thank you for the wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the feedback. And now, may I invite Srimati Anita A.R., Assistant Professor in Commerce, SSB College, Valayansarangara, to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you. Respected resource person and dear participants, good evening all. I feel immense pressure to take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks. I would like to thank you, our resource person Vineet sir, who delivered a wonderful session. It was very informative and motivated. It is very much clear that how to choose an appropriate journal for publishing an article, how to identify and ignore clone journals, criteria for problem selection, etc. And thus, it was very useful for beginners, especially for research scholars. Thank you, sir. My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to the participants who chose to be live with us and attend the program with a great enthusiasm and made it successful event. Once again, I thank you all for being with us for this session. Thank you all.
So with this, we have come to an end of today's session. So tomorrow we will be having the third technical session, also led by Dr. Vineet KM at 6 p.m. I request all of you to join by 5:50 p.m. itself. The link will be posted in the WhatsApp group. Thank you once again. Have a nice day.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Vineet sir. Thank you.
ശരി ടീച്ചർ, നാളെ.
Thank you, Sridevi.
Thank you, Miss.